night, declaring victory in Mosul, Don Jr.'s defense, and tag sale at the Trump Taj Mahal. A new round of Syrian peace talks began in Geneva today, as a ceasefire in the country's south entered its first full day. The US, Russia, and Jordan negotiated the deal last week, but previous agreements to end Syria's 6-year civil war have failed to stop the fighting for very long. The Geneva talks are the 7th round between representatives for the Syrian government and the opposition.
This de-escalation process needs, however, to be considered as interim. Let me underline the word interim.
In a rare joint effort, officials from Israel and Palestine came together in the name of providing more electricity to Palestinian residents in the West Bank. Under a new agreement, a power company owned by the Palestinian Authority will purchase and distribute energy from the Israel Electric Corporation. Israel's energy minister called the deal an encouraging historic moment. Protesters across China staged a sit-in demanding that political prisoner Liu Xiaobo be allowed to leave the country for medical treatment. Liu won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2010 from prison for pushing for political reforms in China. He now has liver cancer and is in critical condition. Facing growing international pressure, Chinese officials say that Liu's treatment remains a domestic issue. The ACLU has filed a lawsuit against President Trump's election commission, alleging it lacks transparency and has already held its first meeting without public notice. The commission asked states for vast amounts of voter data, including birth dates and the last 4 digits of social security numbers. But most are not fully complying. And in Colorado, where the Secretary of State did agree to hand over that information, county clerks say 180 people have withdrawn their voter registration in response. New Jersey Governor Christie made his first comments since being photographed on a closed beach during a government shutdown.
Governor, next time you want to sit on a beach that is closed to the entire world except you, you put your fat ass in a car and go to one that's open to all your constituents.
Well, you know,
not just you and yours.
Interesting, Mike. You know what?
What's that, Gov?
You know, Mike, I love getting calls from communists in Montclair.
Communists in Montclair.
You know,
you're a bully, Governor.
Christie was filling in on sports talk radio station WFAN for host Mike Francesa as part of an audition to permanently take over the gig after his term as governor is up. After a hard-fought battle against ISIS that dragged on for nearly 9 months, Iraq's Prime Minister formally declared victory in Mosul on state television today.
نعلن النصر المؤزر لجميع العراق وللعراقيين.
The announcement was delayed several days, as fighting hasn't totally come to an end. Pockets of ISIS resistance remain in the old city, now largely in ruins. Seb Walker has more from Mosul, where Special Forces troops are still sweeping through the city.
There are now thought to be just a few dozen ISIS members left fighting in Mosul's old city, in an area that shrunk to just a couple of blocks after Iraqi security forces pushed through to the Tigris River over the weekend. We were with the elite Special Forces units known as the CTS as they continued mopping up final pockets of resistance with airstrikes overhead pounding the remaining ISIS positions. There are bodies everywhere you go in these confined streets. In the last several days, the ISIS defenses have collapsed, with senior members killed and others deciding to blow themselves up rather than be captured. Many of those left are foreign fighters and their families, unable to blend in with Iraqi civilians fleeing the area. But for these soldiers, their work isn't finished with Mosul. In the next few weeks, these troops will move west to Tel Afar, a town that's still under ISIS control. They've lost huge numbers of men in the offensive, potentially as much as half of their entire division. The full scale of the human cost of this operation isn't known. Iraqi forces haven't released casualty figures, and in West Mosul at least, it's impossible to know how many bodies are still buried underneath the rubble.
After 100 straight days of increasingly violent protests, Venezuelans surged into the streets again today to demand the removal of President Nicolas Maduro. On Saturday, the government released Leopoldo Lopez, the nation's most important political prisoner, in a concession they seem to think would ease the unrest. But opposition leaders have vowed to step up their street tactics.
Lejos de enfriar las calles, como muchos han dicho por ahí, va a seguir intensivando a que los jóvenes estemos en la calle echándole piernas por nuestro país y liberar de la corrupción que tenemos hoy en día.
But Maduro has primarily used military force to try to subdue the movement, which human rights groups say has escalated the violence. At least 90 people have been killed so far. More than a third of them were under 21. And the violence has begun to spread outside of the protests. The country's Supreme Court and Parliament have been attacked in recent weeks. And on June 13th, armed men stormed a middle-class apartment complex. They claimed it housed terrorists plotting to overthrow President Nicolas Maduro.
Me sentí sumamente asustada, sin ninguna protección, sin tener a quien llamar que viniera en mi auxilio, porque la fuerza de seguridad está dentro de mi casa.
While clashes have brought chaos to the affluent east of Caracas, it's the slums on the west side of the city that have been hit hardest by the country's turmoil. According to a local NGO, half of the population lives in poverty. Polls say 75% of Venezuelans want Maduro gone. But the president is moving forward. On July 30th, he's planning to elect delegates to rewrite the constitution. Maduro insists it's the only way to restore peace in the country. This weekend, Donald Trump Jr. admitted to attending a June 2016 meeting with Natalia Veselnitskaya, a Kremlin-linked lawyer who promised damaging information about Hillary Clinton. Trump Jr. also confirmed that he invited Jared Kushner and then Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort along for the meeting at Trump Tower, before adding that, quote, no details or supporting information was provided or even offered. It quickly became clear that she had no meaningful information. Trump Jr. had previously said he had no meetings with Russians as part of the campaign. It's the first public indication that people in the Trump campaign were open to receiving Russian-related assistance. Evan McMorris-Santoro has more.
There's nothing especially weird about someone calling up your presidential campaign and saying they have dirt on your opponent. This happens in presidential campaigns all the time. Campaigns want damaging information, they pay people to dig it up, and generally, when they get it, they use it. So the questions about this Donald Trump Jr. meeting are not questions about motivation. The guy wanted his dad to win. The question is, was he trying to work with Russian operatives to make that happen? And if he was, is that illegal? It seems pretty clear that President Trump's associates are nervous when it comes to talking about meetings with the Russians. Don Jr. and Paul Manafort are now the fourth and fifth member of Donald Trump's inner circle forced to reveal an in-person meeting with a consequential Russian last year. But this Don Jr. meeting has the potential to be the very worst one that we know of so far. Don admitted he met with the Russian lawyer, who's linked to the Kremlin, because he thought she would give him damaging information on Hillary Clinton. Top Trump campaign aides and associates meeting with a Russian with government ties to get dirt on an American presidential candidate. The optics aren't great, just on the face of it. Forgetting to include the meeting in official clearance documents, as Kushner and Manafort appear to have done, also isn't the best look. But is there more than just a bad headline to all this? I asked Kathleen Clark, a well-known ethics lawyer who used to be the attorney for the Senate Judiciary Committee back in the 90s. I asked her whether, based on what we know now, there's anything maybe illegal going on here.
I don't think there's anything necessarily illegal about that kind of arrangement, of agreeing to meet with someone who may have information that would be useful to your campaign because it would be harmful to your opponent's campaign.
Now, let's say you found out that the person was a Russian national, wants to tell you bad things about another person running for president. Does that sort of get into any murkier legal waters, or what does that mean to you?
It may, because our campaign finance laws restrict the ability of campaigns to accept things of value from foreign nationals. If the information being provided could be considered something of value to the campaign, it could run afoul of our federal election law.
Does that set any lawyer sense tingling in you to watch a story change that fast?
Well, actually, what does ring in my ears is Donald Trump Jr. assuring us that his father didn't know anything about this. I think there's, he doth protest too much, is that the phrase?
Human sex trafficking is the fastest growing business in organized crime. And police departments across the country haven't been able to keep up. Many sex trafficking victims start out as runaways, but the police don't prioritize their cases because most runaways eventually come home. And when they don't, there isn't much that officers can do, unless the child had been seen being kidnapped. With the police on the sidelines, very few people are left to take up the search. But in San Diego, which has one of the highest sex trafficking rates in the country, a group of rogue volunteers is hunting for the missing on their own.
You're only about 20, 30 minutes away. You just look for my Hummer when you get in the Starbucks parking lot.
Joseph Travers runs Saved in America, a nonprofit network of 28 former Navy SEALs and police officers who now volunteer their time rescuing missing children at risk of sex trafficking. Many of them have asked that we protect their identities. They do this in addition to their day jobs.
Rick is undercover out in front of the house, so as soon as you guys are set up, if you see the girls run, go ahead and snatch her up. We got a power of attorney, and then we're gonna call the PD though, and they have the police report. It's gang infested and they got lookouts everywhere.
Today they're helping the local police retrieve a 14-year-old girl named Lily.
Can you see the girl outside?
When Lily went missing, she was initially classified as a runaway. It's been almost a month without any active police investigation into her absence. When someone comes to Saved America, what stage are they at?
Mostly the parents are in a panic stage, and they're waiting for something to happen. So now the family is at a standstill. They have to go find their child on their own, and most people don't know how to do that. So we fill that gap.
Joseph's team uses social media, research, and undercover techniques to find children's whereabouts.
So we're talking to the informant, and she's with him. Why don't we call the cops?
As soon as they have a location, they work with the parents and police to have the child picked up.
Can you come talk to the sergeant?
Lily's mother, Ruth, has come along for the search.
Yeah, hi, Sergeant. How you doing? Joseph Travers, how are you?
Mike.
This is Mom, Ruth. Her daughter's inside there.
Okay.
The 14-year-old.
Yeah.
So our guy's got a positive ID on her in the front yard, and then she went back in the house.
We are not going to be able to force entry on a runaway juvenile. Just telling you that right now.
Even one who's trafficked?
Unfortunately, there's allegations of trafficking, but has there been crime cases taken? Has she come forward as a victim? If
Well,
that
no,
hasn't happened yet. And even if there was, that still isn't to a position where we're going to be allowed to kick a door down and go look for somebody that's not. Of course, that's not within the law. We cannot do that.
The police say they don't have enough probable cause to enter the home by force. Once they surround the house, a Saved in America volunteer spots Lily in the backyard and was able to reunite her with her mom. Lily asked that we conceal her identity.
Man, you guys, good job, man.
On January 30th, Ruth woke up to find Lily was missing. But the local police in her hometown in Utah concluded that Lily had run away and that there was nothing they could do since Lily had left on her own.
Grandma, so if she never runs across a cop, then you're telling me she's never going to be found? He goes, well, basically that's kind of how it is.
How long did it take Saved in America to find Lily?
2 days.
2 months after Lily was retrieved, Ruth headed to the office of Utah Congressman Chris Stewart, hoping that he could pressure law enforcement to treat runaway cases more seriously. The congressman wasn't sure where to start.
I basically was on my own. I said, why? Is my daughter not important? Why isn't anybody listening to me? I'm not going to wait around until somebody comes and offers me help. I'm going to go out there and try to find somebody that could help me.
Yeah, and if there's something we could do to stop this from happening to someone else, we want to do that, because not everyone's going to have a mom like you. I can tell you're discouraged. I'm sorry.
I am, because I really want things to change. I don't want nobody else to.
But I mean, don't forget you got her back.
I don't just want to be greedy and say, you know what, I got my daughter and that's all I matter. No, I want to try to help.
Why is it that when someone reports a runaway, it can be a long time before people will act on their case?
Unless it's an urgent situation, the police, unfortunately, and I come out of that field, they don't have the resources. So if you have a missing child, a runaway, when law enforcement looks at it, it looks just like, well, she just left because she wanted to be with her boyfriend or whatever. So it doesn't appear to be a high priority situation.
Summer Stephen is San Diego County's Chief Deputy District Attorney and Chief of the Sex Crimes and Human Trafficking Division.
The studies tell us that we have about 5,000 victims of sex trafficking in San Diego County annually. We don't encounter that many. We prosecute, between us and the federal government, about 100 cases a year. But there are so many more victims.
Summer could not say how much funding the Sex Trafficking Task Force receives. The San Diego Police Department declined to participate in the story. Do you see a private group like Saved in America as being part of the larger community of resources that can be pooled for something like this? Do they help or ever harm an investigation that your team is already a part of?
They can be very helpful because victims sometimes don't trust police. You know, a private investigator doesn't have the police powers, and so long as they abide by their ethical duties of staying in their lane and cooperating and providing information to police, then we welcome them.
We're there for the parent as a resource. I think the greatest thing that could happen if Saved in America didn't have to exist.
At the historic meeting of Showbiz and Big Biz, music's magic man and the Midas mogul ran the media gauntlet to open the world's glitziest casino.
Trump's Taj Mahal, the eighth wonder of the world. This casino closed last October. It didn't just leave behind 3,000 jobless blackjack dealers and waitresses, left behind over 2,500 rooms full of junk. Beds, linens, bathroom fixtures, chandeliers, all of which is for sale today. I pulled out $500 from the bank last night, and as of this morning, I think I've still got 420 or so. See what I can buy from the second greatest Taj Mahal in the world as of 6 months ago. I think Trump took his name off years ago when it started doing kind of poorly. It's his usual MO, you know.
I thank you for your patience. I'm going to let everybody in. Just bear to the left, okay? Yeah.
You'll find that we moved a lot of the restaurant tables, chairs, bar stools, things like that down here to my left. Around the corner to the right, you're going to find pool and patio furniture.
Oops. Okay, I'm banging up my knee really bad. Seems to be a pretty healthy mix so far of people purchasing goods for personal use, even weird goods like giant trash cans and the like. Could I ask, are you guys getting this for a hotel or something like that? Or?
We're getting it for a backyard.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay. Yeah. 2,500. I wonder if it's for the set. How long are you going to be doing this for? Is it
60 days.
Whoa. Have you ever dealt with anything that was a former Trump property?
I have. I've worked for Donald Trump since 1978, liquidating his hotels.
Oh, yeah, really?
We did the Plaza in New York. We did the Commodore Hotel in New York. We did the Barbizon Plaza. We did Trump's World Fair here.
It's pretty desolate. I guess everybody's just kind of grabbing things. I don't see any tags on anything. I guess I can just kind of take it. Presidential suite. I don't think this meets most people's definition of pop art. It's not terrible. Oh, electric fireplace. Oh. Does this heat up? Oh, still works. Ah! It's the only thing I've seen so far with Trump's name on it. It's the instructions for the jacuzzi. This isn't bad. Actually, this isn't bad at all. I'm taking this one. Oh, same one. Huh. You can't find anything genuinely classy, but you can try to kind of under-tacky things. So at the moment, this fainting couch, you know. Whoa! Someone was partying. No tag on that one. I wonder how many young beauty pageant contestants have stared into this mirror with the same look of self-disbelief. Oh, Bibles. Ew. Trump Taj Mahal, meet real Taj Mahal. I got a fireplace, I got 2 loungers, got this art print. I think that'll be it. Excuse me, sir, can I ask you about your chairs?
Yeah, cool, right? Look, they got the emblems.
No joke. Thoughts on Trump?
I love them.
Where all those camels come from?
Maybe different in the suite.
It's funny how little stuff has his name on it.
Oh, you can't find it. Everything with his name on it, though, they took it out.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Are you paying cash or charge today?
Cash.
Okay, your total is going to be $427.93 after tax, please.
Taxes. Man finds a way to get my money no matter what.
That's Vice News Tonight for Monday, July 10th.